Chorus Voices, the podcast brought to you by Chorus, a fresh approach to community service. Settle in, listen in, and enjoy the voices who bring you reflections, musings, and stories from our community.
Hello and welcome to Chorus Voices. I am CEO of Chorus, Dan Minchin.
Hi Dan, I'm Lou Forster, Head of Brand and People here at Chorus.
Nice to catch up with you again, Lou. Now today we're having a conversation about something that is quite hidden and really quite sad, and that's about elder abuse. Apparently about 1 in 20 older Western Australians suffer from elder abuse of some form.
Between 4 and 10% of people who are referred to aged care services, something we do here at Chorus, may experience some form of abuse, and 3 to 5% of all people over the age of 65 who are living in the community may be suffering some sort of abuse.
It's amazing, isn't it? And, as is often the way, it's people who are most vulnerable, and older people in many circumstances are vulnerable. And what we see in our own experience and what the stats tell us is it's actually even more common amongst older women.
Very vulnerable. Some of the women who are over 60 or 70 haven't necessarily worked, so they may not have paid into their superannuation, and big change in their circumstances can have a huge impact on their housing and their finances and their security generally. And as we'll hear, things sort of unravel, don't they? And they can unravel very quickly when the margin that people are living with, or the buffer they're living with, is almost non-existent. Absolutely. So when we're looking at elder abuse, we know that it's mostly carried out by somebody the person knows and trusts, so maybe a family member or a friend or a neighbour, and I think that's often hard for us to acknowledge. We always want to think of that stranger that's the person doing harm. And WA lawyers say that most victims of elder abuse are women over the age of 60, as we kind of discussed. And this one I find really hard. Abuse commonly comes from their daughters. It's really quite tough. Yeah, that's incredibly difficult to even imagine. And elder abuse comes in multiple forms, including physical, emotional and financial. And we'll hear today about an example very similar to some of the statistics we've been talking about a customer, a woman who was in an abusive arrangement and setup. And the story, it's a powerful one, and it's a sad one, but it's an important one, and it's thanks to our good friend Judith.
Gloria Sanchez is a coordinator at Chorus for the Assistance with Care and Housing program, which supports people aged 60 years or older who are homeless or at risk of being homeless or at risk of abuse.
So most of the people that elderly abuse, they live with the family. They live with the children, with the daughters, and I never find like abuse if they live alone.
Right.
Yeah, I never find someone live alone.
Really?
Someone coming from outside to abuse them. I never find someone like that. Always the clients I have been see is they living with the family. Yeah.
So I imagine like maintaining those family relationships is important to the person who's being abused, which makes it a bit difficult.
They're scared to lose, because if they lose the family, they're not going to have support for them.
And does that put them at risk, possibly of having to move out of the house or something? I mean, that makes it worse because they could be homeless. Is that sort of thing? And is it mostly financial abuse that you see?
Yeah, financial abuse.
And how does that manifest itself? How does that kind of happen?
Okay, what happened is they keep the key card. Some of my clients, they never see the bank account statement, nothing. They just keep all the financial, like with the daughter or with the son. If a person have any problem with the mental health, they're never going to recognize it's been a financial abuse.
Gloria took me to see a customer who Gloria had supported. I noticed there were many hand-knitted baby outfits in her lounge room. She said she loved to knit, but also that there was a time when she couldn't pick up her knitting needles, a time when she was considering ending her own life.
You've been at risk being homeless. Can you tell me how that happened?
My daughter and I suppose daughter-in-law just absolutely stole my identity, and I really didn't want to live. I'd lived with them for a year. In that time, they'd taken my credit card. I had absolutely no money left in savings. I had absolutely nothing. Not even my card. I'd asked them for it back, don't know how many times.
Denise from Chorus had initially gone to see the customer one morning and she knew something was wrong. She immediately contacted Gloria. What Gloria found was a person who had hit rock bottom, somebody who felt as though she had become depersonalised and was unable to function.
Like there was no food in the pantry, the freezer was empty, there was just nothing. It came to a horrible crisis. I've always been a very strong woman, and unfortunately, I became depersonalised in a house where people were just walking all over me all the time. With all of my savings, my credit card maxed out at 2,500. They'd borrowed money from Centrelink, 3 loans was it from Centrelink, and I'd had all of that to pay back. I couldn't have gone out on my own. I couldn't have gone, sort of just walked out and left the house, because I can't walk very far without the walker. I had no alternative where to go. I was quite depressed. I didn't have anything for the depression. The overwhelming depression that I had was prior to leaving. And feeling, where can I go? What can I do? I was in a black hole, and I was sitting there, and I was like I was in a room with the windows all closed up, and I couldn't see out of this at all. I could not see my way out of it. I didn't want to talk about it. I felt so really horrible. I wasn't even doing any knitting. And that is catastrophic, because I've been knitting since I was 4. And I couldn't pick up my knitting needle. I was trembling, couldn't do it. The level of anxiety was massive. Massive. And like I say, I looked at my insulin and I thought, I could take 2 or 3 cartridges of these and be off the planet. And I think that's what I was planning.
So something had changed in your relationship so that this happened? You're saying that you're surprised that it happened?
My daughter will be 55 this year, and 2 years ago, if you told me that she was going to do something like this, I would have laughed and I'd say, I don't believe you. Because in the beginning, when I came out of hospital, she was really good. And it was only the last 3 months where they just deprived me of everything. There was just nothing for me to go on for, nothing for me to live for. When I first came out of hospital, she was good and very attentive. And I kept saying, can you give us my key card back? And I said, I want to know how much rent I'm paying here. I don't mind paying my fair share of everything. And everything's taken care of. You don't have to worry about anything.
The customer went to hospital and was in ICU. When she came out of hospital, Gloria took her to the bank. All the customer's savings had gone. Accounts had been taken out in her name, including an $850 bill from Telstra that she knew nothing about.
So all the savings I had in, straight out. And since I moved out, I haven't contacted her and she hasn't contacted me. But she hasn't faced me to say why she's doing it. And all of this was done like on the internet, you know. Mm. And they had my pension card, my driver's license, and it was all done online. But what annoyed me most, and I think Gloria would get this, is I was left with $2,500 to pay off, which I'm still paying off. And I said, look, you know, there's 3 adults and I don't mind cutting the rent 3 ways. And I don't mind paying my share of the electricity bill. And then I had that phone bill.
Ah, yeah. In your name?
In my name. So
how did you find that? I mean, you're saying like the bills and you didn't know about the bills and things?
Well, we went, Gloria took us down to Telstra to get a landline in. Yeah. And he said, yes, we'll put a landline in when you've paid your bill. And my telephone bill was usually about $90, $110 a month at the most.
They charge you for Foxtel.
The Foxtel, that's right.
And 2 mobiles number.
I still love my daughter. Will I forgive her for this? Time will only tell. I don't know.
As Gloria dug deeper, they discovered more. Apart from maxing out the credit card and taking loans out from Centrelink in the customer's name, they discovered that the daughter's partner was part of the financial abuse.
Why did you decide to live with your daughter?
In the beginning, I was in hospital for from 2016 through to about August 2017. And I was quite frail because I'd had a lot going on physically. And she said, we're renting a nice house and you can move in with us. Right? And I said, that sounds all right. So she packed up the other house and we all moved, my partners, got 5 kids. Only 3 of them were living with us. And then we found out at Centrelink, she's getting a carer's allowance for me.
So she was getting the care of the allowance and also taking money from your account.
The partner was getting the carer's allowance.
The partner was.
But I never used to see her. And I think I must have seen her most likely about 15 hours maximum while I was there. I had this little box room on the corridor and I was told that I could have the cinema room as my lounge room unless the kids wanted to use it as a screen room. And, you know, things just turned over getting worse and worse. But I was saved by wonderful Gloria. And when Denise came, I was just totally upset. And as I said, they phoned Chorus and they were out, had me out of there. And before the afternoon was over, we went and got a couple of things and Gloria had found me a share house to live in. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done or where I would have gone or how I'd even got to that point.
Gloria's here with us. I've got to say, you got a lovely little place here.
Well, yes, it's good because it's got no carpet and, you know, it's easy for the walker and everything. Yeah. It's easy to keep
space for you and there's, who do you knit for?
I knit for Radio Lollipop. But I've been doing that for 6 years. Yeah. And 7 years now. 7 years. Radio Lollipop. But I've got a lot of pleasure in knitting. Some people knit and it's an effort for them to knit. I knit because I love it. And that's it. And I do crochet work and tapestries and all that things as well.
Apart from just everything that's happened, I mean, how do you feel that you're alleging that your daughter has done this?
I feel a lot of anger, but I also feel a lot of sympathy towards her. Because, as I said, she's never done anything like this in her life. I've lost a lot of respect. It's respect that's gone. The anger now, I've got over the anger. But will I trust her again? No. Would I put my hand in my pocket to give her any money again? No. Would I accept all the apologies in the world? That's debatable. I don't think I would.
So you're saying she's quite smart and knew what was going on, but why didn't she report it, or why didn't she do something about it before you came in and saw something happening?
This is the people, maybe there are many around Perth, they're suffering the same problem, but they don't know what to do. They're just stuck in there and don't do anything.
Do you think there's an element where they might just think it's normal, that that's okay to do that?
Oh yeah. Some of that they think, oh, she paid for everything for me, so I don't need money. Most of them decide that. But if they haven't got no support, from the government, we're never gonna find out. Never.
So we've talked about sort of financial abuse.
Yeah.
What about other types of abuse?
Psychological.
So sort of controlling, like I got some of the clients living with dementia, and I can see people treat them so bad because they can't remember. But some of them, they're just thinking she's stupid, and they treat them like that. But why do they do that? I mean, do they not care? Is that why they're treating them?
Maybe because, I mean, they've been living with mum for so long, and they can't understand the illness. Too many people, they don't know what dementia means. I got the feeling people with dementia, they've been abused most of the time. They don't want to put mum in a nursing home because all the things been in the TV, in the news and all that is been abused. But sometimes, they've been abused at home too. Psychological is being abused too, because the way they treat them.
Yeah, I guess, in a nursing home, it's more accountable, isn't it? Whereas at home,
no one can see that.
Don't know.
No one can see that. Yeah, just psychological. They never hit them. Sometimes psychological can be more, terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying physical abuse isn't really
No.
common?
No. But a lot with financial and psychological.
Which is, I guess it's a bit more hidden, that too, isn't it? It's a bit like if it's a physical sign, you can see something.
Oh yeah.
Then you can sort of see something might be happening, but with the psychological and the financial, it's a lot more hidden and a lot harder to detect, I guess.
Yeah, because most of the people, when they get in the age 80, 85, they think, I don't need money. My daughter can look after my money. But in one way, some of the daughters, they're doing a beautiful thing. Moms live like a princess. But some of them, you can see, the bed is rotten and all the stuff. So you can see the difference. If the daughter's using the money the proper way, you're happy.
The chorus customer I talked to has moved around a fair bit over the last few years. She moved in with her daughter, her partner and their children, to a share house with a variety of people and ages, to ICUs for a spell, and finally to a comfortable unit that is hers. She met a group of knitters along the way who came to see her throughout her time in hospital. They used to meet at Spotlight, but now she hosts the knitting group in her home every Saturday morning. It's a friendly, quiet space. It's home, and she's in charge of her life. A lovely place to knit.
So everything is running smoothly at the moment, and I'm not worrying about anything. I'm happy and content now.
It's been quite a journey for you to get to this. You're sort of in charge of
I'm in charge of myself.
Yourself again.
Yeah. And since I've moved out, I feel so much better. I've had such absolutely fantastic support. Can't even explain to anybody the support I've had. It's just been phenomenal. And it was something I didn't expect.
So a very moving story to hear about what's happened in this example, and it's really a demonstration to me of a couple of things that worked really well to get this customer to the outcome that she got to. For me, it's about acting quickly and about the networks across Chorus and people being able to tap into their colleagues and things that they can do to help, to look at finding options for people, supporting those options, and something that you said to me before, Dan, about caring deeply. I do believe people being able to act so quickly and effectively is also because they really care.
Yeah, I think that's right, and obviously there's lots of people at Chorus who fit into that category, and most people in the community fit into that category. And this is one of those things, as we've talked about, it's pernicious, it's hidden, it's hard to pick, and it's very hard to know how to respond. But what I feel, and I know that everyone in the Chorus community feels, is that older people, like everybody, is entitled to autonomy, dignity, and the right to live safely. And it's such a sort of horrible paradox to find people in a situation where it's their own family or someone that's close to them who's perpetrating this sort of thing. I think we all feel it's very much our obligation and our responsibility to do something to help people come out of those situations and give them an opportunity to live well later in their life. It's a tricky one though, Lou, for people to look out for. So got any suggestions for others as to how they might spot this happening?
Well, I think we're the experts, and there's certainly people who can advise more, but I think looking out for changes in what you're used to seing with a member of the family or someone that you know well.
Or a neighbour or...
Yeah, something's changed and their behaviour seems different, and I always say go on your gut. If your gut is telling you something's not right, perhaps think about asking some more questions of yourself or the person. And if you're not sure, or in fact if this podcast has raised issues for people, there is the Elder Abuse Helpline in WA that's run by Advocare, and they can be contacted on 1300 724 679.
There's also a country number, which is 1800 655 566, and in any case you can find Advocare on the web. And what we'd be saying is, as you said, if your gut's telling you one thing and you want to ask a question, that's a really good place to start. Clearly it's a big step to take, but people shouldn't be concerned that they necessarily have to. They may not even be right, but it's worth asking the question.
Yeah, people at Advocare are trained advocates, and they certainly used to talking through a situation or a scenario with someone to work out what might be going on and what can be done about it.
So, as we said, it's a tough story for us to be part of. It is part of life at Chorus, and thankfully, in this occasion, we were able to make a real difference. Wanted to acknowledge the people who spoke to us today, and to Judith, who did all that fine work of tracking down the story and immersing herself in it. So, look, that's it for Chorus Voices for today. Nice to chat, Lou.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for listening to Chorus Voices, the podcast brought to you by Chorus. If you like our show and wanted to know more, check out our website at chorus.org.au. And please leave a review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and it helps others find us and enjoy the podcast as well. Join us next time for more inspiring stories and news from our community. Chorus, a fresh approach to community service.